Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Daily Reads podcast. Today's podcast was a bit delayed because the daily format wasn't really working for me, and a one-day gap between podcasts gives me time to write a better script than what I was writing before, and it also gives me time to work on my personal projects. So, fair warning: this episode is fairly programmer focused, as I read a lot of tech-focused articles in the last 2 days. So this is your host Akash Joshi, and today I shall be discussing some of the best articles that I read yesterday and the day before, with the links in the accompanying Substack. So listing them in no particular order, let's begin. So firstly, Rxjs is having its first conference in Las Vegas this year. So this got me googling what Rxjs itself is. So checking out its front page, it has a couple of interesting ideas that it could add to the JavaScript ecosystem. One of them is Observables. Observables are an interesting alternative to promises for doing asynchronous programming. They follow the publisher-subscriber model, where the subscribers subscribe to a publisher and changes to a publisher are published automatically to all subscribers. So to make sense of this, the promise model is something like a HTTP request where you call a server and you get the input from it. So you can only get one output from one HTTP request, but an observable can stay online for a longer period of time. So in that way, it works more like WebSockets, where you can ping it multiple times to get multiple outputs. So I've linked a blog on the topic by Corey Rillan in the Substack. Do check it out. Next up, there's some Google related news. Google Hire will be taking the route of Inbox, YouTube Gaming, and Google Trips just this year. As reported by TechCrunch, Google sent out an email to customers of Google Hire saying that it intends to sunset the product by September of 2020. So this means that Google will kill Google Hire by the end of 2020. So this news is not interesting in itself, but coupled by the fact that Google has already killed 16 of its products till date just this year and is scheduled to kill 24 of its products by the end of 2020, it's kind of crazy. How can people trust the services of a company which keeps killing its products left and right? More and more people will be distrusting Google because of such changes. You can check out Google's graveyard so far at killedbygoogle.com. The link to the TechCrunch article is in the Substack itself. There was an awesome open source repository by the GitHub user jmoon18 which appeared on Hacker News recently. So he has made a game, Pac-Vim, which lets you play Pac-Man on your command line using the keyboard commands of Vim. So I haven't really used Vim before. I just use it for basic text editing when I want to SSH into a server and edit simple files. But playing this game, I realized that Vim is actually very powerful. So this game is actually not that useful because it doesn't give you the keyboard shortcuts or really teach you how to go through the levels. But if you try out something like vimadventures.com, it will give you a better learning experience for Vim. So do check it out. The links are in the Substack. Lastly, we have an interesting article from the bootstrapped entrepreneur and successful creator of Nomad List and Remote OK, Peter Levels. He writes about how the only real product validation is when people actually pay money for your idea. So he says that this is because as there's a lot of competition of ideas and products in the market, people won't really give their genuine response unless you actually ask them to pay for it. So if people are willing to pay for your service, then you're doing something really good. But if people are hesitant or are rejecting you outright, then that means that something is wrong with your product and that maybe you should change it a bit. So do check out his blog overall at levels.io. He has written several articles relating to his businesses and also his ideas about how to sell a product. It's quite interesting. Finally, today's indie project shout out goes out to MakerLog, a project by the indie maker Sergio Matai. So MakerLog is an awesome community of makers where people log their tasks daily and try to maintain streaks of getting stuff done. MakerLog also has a really friendly community out on Telegram, and I personally log all of my tasks on MakerLog myself because it is a good way of knowing what all things you have done, what has changed. So it's also acts like a change log. You can see where you're, what stage you are at with a product at a particular period of time, and what stage you have reached right now. So it's completely free. Do check it out at getmakerlog.com. So thanks for tuning in for today, guys. See you all in the next episode. And by the way, if you install the Anchor app, you can send voice notes to me directly through the app itself. So if you have any comments or suggestions, do share them with me. Also share this podcast with other people you know. So that will help me a lot. And you can check the links to all the articles and projects that I've mentioned in the podcast in the Substack at dailyreads.substack.com.